Champions, this is Brother Nia from NABSS TV, and we're here for an interview with the Nubian African Foundation Community School. Did I get that right? I always get that wrong. What's the actual Nubian African Community Foundation School?
Yes.
I usually get the words back to front, but yeah, I got it right. So yeah, we're interviewing the school, and you've been going, actually, the Nubian African Community Foundation School was the Saturday school that I joined as a volunteer, probably back in 92, 91, 92, just volunteered for a Saturday school. Then the school was based in Stockwell at the New Initiatives, and absolutely brilliant. I learned maths from parents, didn't learn it in school. And then like 10 years later, I said that I'm still in touch with Jacinta. She was a humanities teacher, and Sister Amatai. She's now with Kabilan School of Excellence. So I'm still in touch with them, which is good. And Brother Quaker, I still see him around. And Andre was one of the pupils, still in touch with him, and also yourself, Kojo. How long ago was that? Actually, my daughter started when she was 4 years old. Now she's 20. So that's 20 years ago. And it was 30 years ago since I was teaching there. 30 years. Oh my gosh. But yeah, but the thing is though, when I went there with my children, you were in Stockwell, lost the building there, went to Brixton to some mash up buildings, horrible. Then we went down to Croydon. Do you remember, did you attend Croydon? When I moved to Croydon?
Yeah, we were in Sankofa Learning Centre.
Yeah, was it Thornton Heath? Thornton Heath. Heath.
I feel like there was another place in Croydon area as well.
But they were both the same place.
Places.
So Sankofa, the building that they had one building, and then and it was like an office building.
Office building had a floor,
and then they bought a house, and so that we moved into the house, and we were there in the house for about another year.
Yeah, but it's when he's at Sankofa is when Seba David, is he still there?
That's my dad.
Brother David, is your dad?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. Is
it part of the Saturday school for a while longer?
I joined when I was, I think I started when I was 5, but Dad was taking me from when I was 4.
It's down to your dad.
28 now.
It is down to your dad that I started NABSS, because I was taking my children to Mashufa martial arts in Tottenham. We live in Westminster. We was going to Tottenham for martial arts, coming home at about 11, half 11 at night on a Friday night, and then going to the Saturday school. Now going to the Saturday school, going to Nubia in Brixton was fine. But then when you moved out to Croydon, we had to get up even earlier, like 6 o'clock in the morning after like Friday. The children didn't like it at all, but you know, I'm dedicated to the Saturday school. But Seba Akimade felt sorry for me and the children having to get up so early and travel so far. He said, listen, brother, there's another Saturday school in Kilburn. And at that time, I only knew about Nubia. Didn't know about any other Saturday school. And because of him, I found another Saturday school. And when I was there, we went to an event by the 100 Black Men with Tony Warner, and we saw other Saturday schools. I thought, this is brilliant. We've got so many. Know what I mean? But anyway, back to talking about Nubia. So when was the school formed? What year, do you know? And why?
So the original formation of the school was 1991. It was a 6-week program, which was started off the back of Dr. Femi Biko's Black History course. So he'd run a Black History course, and quite a number of Sebas that started the school did the course. At the end of the course, a number of them re-enrolled onto the course. So they did the course again. And I guess through the dedication that, you know, his students had showed, he had the idea of kind of opening up his own Saturday school, and some of the ones who were particularly interested had got to start the school by it as a 6-week program. That was in 1991. And then in the summer of 92, that's when the Saturday school started.
Also, I actually came at the beginning. I came at the beginning then. Oh, right. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah, so,
and why? Why was the school formed?
I think with a lot of the other Saturday schools, it becomes very apparent to people the difficulties that Black and African children have in the schooling system in this country. Lack of teaching about self, and kind of encouraging environments for our young children, both the boys and the girls.
So do you know some of the names of the original teachers when they first opened? I remember a few. I'll mention a couple. Do you remember some of the others?
I couldn't tell you all of them because I didn't start right at the beginning. So I can tell you the people.
Was there?
Seba Wayne, who's now Seba Kojo. Seba Kweku, Seba Kuumba, Seba Sankara, Seba Iola, Seba Amatai, who was already mentioned, Seba Kwame, Seba Ian, Seba Menkara. Yeah, I'm stumped as for any more of the originals.
That's a good list. That's a good list too. So big up and big respect for them for starting up Nubia in the first place. So it's not an easy job. So so how long has the school been running now? So how long have we been running now?
So in terms of like the Saturday school in its current form, we are at the end. This is our 29th year. So next year will be 30 years.
Yeah, wicked. It's amazing. So what are some of the low points of running the school? Obviously, the building's been a massive issue in the early days. Some of the low points that was going on having to run the school. What are some of the low points?
I guess we would have experienced that more as students. So when there were points where we had Saturday school in Seba Merva's house, even your house as well, Kojo.
Yeah, Seba Merva, yes.
Yeah. So I think that probably would be a low point, but again, I experienced that as a student. So I think it probably would have been different potentially anyway, for some of the adults running the school at that time. For me, it was the same. Go to school. It wasn't the best experience moving around and not having that sense of stability. That was difficult as well. And then also, I think because from my perspective, Nubia's just been a part of my life from when I can remember. I grew up with people and then they wouldn't come back. That was quite difficult as a child. Seeing people every Saturday and then people start to trickle away and then you don't really see them as much.
All right. And what's some of the high points?
Oh, there's so many of them.
So many.
Give me some.
so many. I would say Dr. Ben coming to visit the school. That was particularly good. Our first graduation, that was particularly good. The graduation we had July just gone. That was me and Seba Iesha's first graduation as co-chairs. Okay. So that's the first one that we have organized. The essay competition that we've enrolled in, I think the first couple of years that we did were really, really good. Finding Elder Des, that was a great moment. I mean, look, I think we've had too many to mention, if I'm honest, and I know I'll miss loads, and I'm sure Seba Iesha mentioned she'll miss loads too. I think ultimately the most important thing is that as a school we have stayed together, and even when things have gotten difficult, we've banded together and we've got through the difficult times, and the last several years have been really good for us.
And obviously one of the biggest high points is that you're lasting for nearly 30 years, still going.
Yeah, definitely.
And the students are coming back to teach.
Yeah.
Which some schools really struggle, but you've managed that very well. It's a massive high point, absolutely massive. So in terms of the interaction with NABSS, roughly how many parents do you think have actually come to the school or inquired to the school via NABSS?
I think it's
difficult. Using the website, I don't know. The schools don't get back to me whether a parent actually attends or makes a phone call.
I can't remember anybody in the last couple of years who's come from NABSS. I know there have been a few that definitely have. So I know people use the website. I use it a lot to direct people like yourself who was traveling from far when they say, "Oh, I'm really interested."
Same. Yeah.
And then they tell me they live in Tottenham or something. I'm like, look, I'd love you to come to my school and teach because, you know, we could use the bodies. But there are loads of schools, so I often send them to the website. And I know a lot of people I've sent through the website have found schools from the website, some that I don't even know exist.
That is brilliant.
So,
because on previous interviews I've done with some schools and people I speak to privately, when I say to them, like, what do you do if you have a parent who contacts you that lives like 10 and 15 miles away? Would you like offer them a space, or would you offer an alternative? They said, no, we'll get them into our school, we'll get them to my school. And I think, you know, you at least think about giving them a choice.
I think
the parents don't know about other Saturday schools, so at least give them a choice.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think
some schools have waiting lists. I'm like, if you have a waiting list, why don't you recommend another school or use the website and find another one, and at least give the parent a choice of waiting for your school or, you know, finding something else. So I'm very glad to hear that you're doing that. Very grateful.
Definitely. Look, some parents, there have been a couple of parents who, you know, we've said, look, you know, there are schools that are close to you. We've got a few students at school now who there are closer Saturday schools to them. And, you know, I said, look, well, you know, why haven't you gone to them? You know, they do really good work, and, you know, we know some of the people. They said, look, you know, we like the culture of this school, and so it's more of a fit for us, you know, and I'm perfectly happy for that. But I think for what we're trying to do to work, you know, we have to respect that there are other schools, and also if there are no other Saturday schools, we can't take all of the families. We don't have the space to take all of the families. So it benefits our community that there are other functioning Saturday schools.
Absolutely.
So ultimately, you know, I do a disservice to the parents and to ourselves. And, you know, then there'll just be loads of children that we can't help. That's not, nobody wins.
So how did you manage during lockdown?
We did close, yeah. We didn't really do the online lessons. We have like various groups on WhatsApp, which is one of the ways that we communicate with the parents. So we set up a group where we were setting the students' work, and Seba New Kojo was kind of running a project through WhatsApp. So then we were setting the work and we were communicating with the parents, and they were sending in the work. Yeah, so that's how we managed.
Okay, so you're close, but you still kept the communication going with the parents and students.
Yeah, definitely. I think inevitably we lost a few people during that period. I think that's understandable with that time away and not physically being together. But we've become, it's more than a school, and lots of people will say that to you when you visit Nubia. Like Seba will tell you, we're not just a school, we're a family.
It's a family.
And it does sound cheesy, but like Kojo is my family. Like we grew up together, and I would like to hope that other people do feel that energy at the school. And so I think just the communication was important, like maintaining that communication, even though we couldn't physically be where we wanted to be, which was teaching. And I do think that the parents felt that sort of loss during that time. Parents have spoken to us about that they felt that loss of not having Saturday school or bringing their children to Saturday school.
So now we're in September 2021. So how has it been since you reopened?
So yeah, we've recently just started back our school year. So we came back after the lockdown, and we opened back up, and so we finished our year, and we've just started back. We've had good numbers so far. We've got a few older students who haven't been able to come back just yet, but we're in communication with parents, so we'll be seeing them soon. Things are looking good. You know, things coming in the future, some kind of more community initiatives that we're trying to get involved in and do, and so there are lots to look forward to, lots of things coming, lots of plans. So, you know, everybody should keep their heads and eyes and ears attuned to things Nubia related.
Excellent. And you know, this is a very good opportunity for me to actually speak to ex-students. So what was it like being a student, going to mainstream school, and then going to the Saturday school, and the different things you were learning? How was it for you as students?
I think that there's stages that you go through as a student at Saturday school. Many different stages. When I was younger, I loved it. It was like, oh, different friends, fun. And then you get to the stage when you become a teenager and your friends are doing things on a Saturday and you also want to do things on a Saturday. And it does become, well, for me anyway, I can only speak for myself. It became a bit of a conflict because I definitely saw value in what I was doing every Saturday. And I was raised to understand why it was needed. But then there's that pull of, oh, I want to go out with my friends, I want to do that. But it just wasn't a choice. It was Saturday school. It was compulsory. So it's something that I'll forever be grateful for my dad for not wavering in terms of making sure that I was going to Saturday school, whether I was upset about it or not. And as an adult now, you can look at things with hindsight, and I can understand the value. I can understand why my dad made sure that I went. Hence why I'm now back teaching there, and running it with Kojo. So I always just say with parents, if you're committed to it, if you see the value in it, even when if your child does go through that stage when they become a teenager, they do want to do other things, they put up a bit of resistance. If you understand the value of it, and it is incredibly valuable to be around people that look like you, to learn about people that look like you, and that sense of community as well, then you just have to force them. You have to
Be the
be
boss.
determined.
Run
Yeah,
things.
you have to, and hopefully they become an adult and they see again the value in it and why you made that decision as the parent. So that was my experience. It was a bit up and down.
How was it for you, Kojo?
I guess my stages were a bit different from Iesha. I started a little bit older than she did. So I remember a life before Saturday school. So I remember running around with my friends, and then my dad was like, right, you got to start in Saturday. So I'm like, where's my vote? I don't consent to this. I've got plans. I'm not really for it.
What age were you?
So I started off a little bit rough.
What age?
I think I was 10. I was 10 when we started.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So I was 10. So once we kind of got into it, kind of acclimated quite quickly to kind of what we had to do, and I got on board. Like my dad, he taught us, him and my mum, they taught us kind of African history and all of those type of things. So it wasn't so much going to Saturday school to learn things that we didn't know, because we were learning all of that already. We had books, we had to read, all of those type of things. But I think for my parents, it was a lot more about community. And I think for the thing that I've taken from the school more so than anything is that sense of community. Particularly as I started getting into my mid-teens, it became very apparent to me that the belief system and kind of moral line that my parents had, a lot of the people that I went to school with, they were very, very, very different. And spending time with them was often a bit of a conflict of interest. It was very difficult. I became the moral center of the group. That's not okay. That's not okay. We're not doing that. And I don't really want to exist like that. I'm 13, 14, 15. I'm not anybody's dad. I shouldn't be having to talk to my peers that way. So the relationships that I had at the Saturday school became even more important to me, because those were people that I could just spend time with. I didn't have to worry about them doing something that I wasn't going to approve of, my parents weren't going to approve of. It was just time that I could spend with my friends.
They all have the same mindset.
And it's very important. I know that I can hang out with you because I know the expectations your parents have are the same as the expectations my parents have. And so I don't got to worry about that, and kind of the moral center is the same. So I think in that respect, it was really, really important to me.
So what about the knowledge? What about the knowledge you learned in the Saturday school, but you didn't learn in mainstream school? How did that
I mean,
work?
again, I think for me, and I think Seba, Iesha will be very similar in that, obviously, our fathers primarily, they're very well-read men. So you were learning a lot of that at home. I think the thing that, and obviously I get for other people, that is the primary reason why they send their children to the Saturday school. And we have a wonderful curriculum, and there's loads and I learned things as well. It's not like I didn't learn anything. I learned lots of things. I think the thing that I thought was really important in terms of what I learned at the Saturday school was how you can use history to guide the choices you make in the future. How you can use the history to benefit your community going forward. So, you know, making sure that you're making good choices in your life to be an asset to your community. The fact that you value community. I think leaving Nubia, and oftentimes when I find with children, obviously I work in a secondary school, I find that the students, when they leave, a lot of the time they feel very lost. They leave and then they're kind of ejected out of the school and it isn't a place for you anymore and they have nowhere to go. And Nubia is not like that. You know, once you're part of Nubia, you're always part of Nubia. Even once you stop being a student, so you're no longer a Nubian, you know, you can become a Seba, and that's not necessarily somebody who comes to teach, right? That there is more to being part of the community, to being part of the school, and to be the person who stands in the front of the class, giving instruction and kind of giving out knowledge. That there are other ways to educate, there are other ways to help, to take part in into the community, and we are very much an advocate of building that. So, you know, all of our students, our graduates, they are all part of our school. For as long as the school exists, they have a home.
Excellent, excellent. And how can potential parents contact your school?
So we have an email address. Give me 1 second, just so I don't get this wrong. The email address is at Nubia. Sorry. Yes. At Nubia AFCS at googlemail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you can message us there. You can go to our website, which is you can just Google it. So if you Google Nubia Saturday School, it will come up.
Pops up.
You'll be the first hit on Google. So you can find us there. We are on Union Road at the moment.
Is that Wandsworth?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And
also you can find it on the NABSS website and the South London section.
Of course.
You can definitely find it on the NABSS website. You should definitely take a look at the NABSS website. It's very interesting. There's lots of very good schools, us being one of them. And in my humble opinion, a magnificent one.
Oh, it is very good. I mean, one of the classic stories I tell people when they ask about how NABSS was started, I explain how my daughter went. She started at 4 years old. On her first day at Nubia, she was like star pupil. Every class.
We still do that.
Class.
We still have star pupil.
And you still do the thing where every pupil has to bow to any student, anybody that's older than them.
Yes.
Yep. It's part of our assembly. So we say
I still see Seba Andre, and every time he sees me, he gives me a deep bow. I still do this. Even though he's younger than me, I still do the same. Even all the Sebas, all of them I do. But also the classic story I tell people about why I set NABSS up, because when my daughter was going to Nubia, she learned about Mary Seacole before the campaign to have her put on the curriculum. So she was 4 years old. She was still she hadn't started school yet. So when she was in probably year one, they were talking about Florence Nightingale. She puts her hand up. She says, "Miss, it wasn't Florence Nightingale doing all the work. It was Mary Seacole." The teacher's like, "Who's Mary Seacole?" She taught the teacher and she taught the class. And also, was it Seba Kwaku? Is he still doing what's the language?
Medinecha?
No, the language.
Medinecha. Yeah, Medinecha.
Yeah. Yeah,
So we
the
have-
daughter learned about the hieroglyphics. She was writing
Yes.
Yeah.
hieroglyphics. She learned that from Seba Kweku. She went to the British Museum with the school, and she says, Miss, I know what it means. I can read it. And the teacher's like, yeah, of course you can. Turn her back on her. She's like, Miss, I know how to read it. I understand what it means. So the teacher's like, well, if you think you're a clever young lady, come and teach the class. And she did. Hurrah, wrong. She did all the pronunciations, and she could read the hieroglyphics at the British Museum. And that's down to Nubia. She learned that in Nubia from Seba Kweku. And that's that story I'm always telling. So yes, this has been a beautiful interview. It's been long overdue, Kweku.
Yes.
No, Kojo, long overdue. But thank you very much for your time.
No
Iesha,
problem.
thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
long prosperity for Nubia. Another 30 years, another 40 years. Keep on going, because it is a fantastic school. I've been there, my children have been there, and the legacy continues. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you. Okay.